Welcome to The Explainer. I'm Dr. Chem, and today we're literally unlocking the secrets of the solid world. Just picture it for a second, a vast universe of intricate crystals, minerals, advanced energy materials, life-saving pharmaceuticals, and cutting-edge nanomaterials, all being illuminated by invisible beams of X-rays. Have you ever actually wondered how scientists can see the internal arrangement of atoms in these solid structures? I mean, we're talking about spacing that is unimaginably small. Well, the answer lies in an incredibly powerful analytical technique called X-Ray Diffraction, or XRD for short. Today, we're going to explore exactly how this ultimate tool allows researchers to determine crystal structures and identify unknown phases with absolute precision. So let's just dive right into it.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to start by looking at the power of X-rays and then move right into crystals and interference. From there, we'll unpack the math. Don't worry, it's the fun kind, with understanding Bragg's Law, before stepping virtually into the lab to look at the X-ray diffractometer. Finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with powder X-ray diffraction and some really cool real-world XRD applications. It's a complete journey from the fundamental quantum physics of light right through to real-world laboratory techniques.
All right, Section 1, the power of X-rays, probing the invisible.
And that leads us straight into Section 2, crystals and interference.
So to probe the invisible, we obviously need the right tool. To see something in physics, the wavelength of the light you're using has to be roughly the same size as the object you're trying to probe. Atoms in a solid are incredibly close together. We're talking separated by tiny distances on the order of angstroms. Visible light, it's just way too big. It washes right over them. But X-rays, they are short wavelength electromagnetic radiation, which means they are perfectly matched to those tiny atomic distances. Now that we have our ultimate flashlight, we really have to understand our target. When X-rays hit a material, they bounce off or scatter. But how they scatter depends entirely on the material's internal structure. And this generally falls into two distinct categories. On one side, we have crystalline materials. Think of your table salt crystals, quartz, metals, or highly organized pharmaceutical compounds. These guys possess a periodic array and long-range order. Because their atoms are arranged in these neat, repeating three-dimensional patterns, they act like a beautiful diffraction grating, scattering X-rays into very distinct, sharp patterns. Contrast that with amorphous materials on the other side, things like glass or certain random polymers. These are highly disordered. They completely lack that long-range repeating pattern. So when X-rays hit them, you don't get sharp signals. Instead, you get these broad smeared scattering signals, or halos. XRD is all about exploiting the precise order found in those crystals.
Now, to understand exactly how those ordered crystals scatter X-rays into such sharp patterns, we first have to define the core physical phenomenon at play here, which is constructive interference. This happens when monochromatic waves, meaning X-rays of a single uniform wavelength, combine exactly in phase, adding up to a relatively high irradiance. And in plain terms, that just means they create a strong, measurable signal. Let's visualize this. When two scattered X-ray waves are perfectly in sync, where their peaks perfectly align with peaks and their troughs with troughs, they combine in phase to create a much, much stronger wave. This is constructive interference, and it is exactly what creates the distinct signals we want to measure in the lab. Conversely, if those waves combine 180 degrees out of phase, they completely cancel each other out, leaving you with zero irradiance. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that a crystal's regular atomic planes cause these scattered X-ray waves to either build each other up or cancel each other out, all depending on the specific angle they are viewed from. Which brings us to Section 3, Understanding Bragg's Law. This is the real math of XRD. Back in the early 20th century, William Lawrence Bragg had a massive light bulb moment. He realized that this incredibly complex 3D diffraction phenomenon could be modeled quite simply. He envisioned it as X-rays reflecting off atomic planes in a crystal, kind of just like light bouncing off a mirror. Imagine an incident beam of X-rays coming in and hitting parallel layers of atoms inside our crystal structure. Those layers, or atomic planes, are separated by a very specific lattice spacing distance that we call d. The X-rays strike these planes at an incident angle known as theta. Now, notice how the X-ray hitting the second, lower plane has to travel just a little bit further than the one hitting the top plane? That extra physical distance, that is the secret to the whole shebang. And this leads us to the absolute foundation of X-ray diffraction, Bragg's Law. N times lambda equals 2d sine theta. It's an elegant little equation, isn't it? It states that constructive interference, again, that strong signal we're actively hunting for, only happens when the extra path distance traveled by the lower X-ray perfectly equals a whole integer number n of the X-ray's wavelength, lambda. What's really fascinating here is the geometry behind that famous equation. Let's look at that lower path. The extra geometric distance traveled by that second X-ray wave is the segment AB plus the segment BC. Because of the right triangles that get formed by the angle theta and the lattice spacing d, basic trigonometry tells us that AB mathematically equals d sine theta. And since the path in and the path out are perfectly symmetrical, the total extra distance is just 2d sine theta. When that specific distance equals n lambda, boom, the waves emerge perfectly in phase. The signal spikes, and we record a diffraction peak. Moving on to section 4, the X-ray diffractometer. Let's look at the actual instrument. Let's zoom out from the atomic level and actually step into a modern materials characterization laboratory. To capture this quantum phenomenon, we use a highly sophisticated instrument known as the diffractometer. You can clearly see the three main components of the machine and a typical setup. First, on the incident side, we have a vacuum chamber housing an X-ray tube. This is our X-ray generator. Second, right in the middle, we have the goniometer. This is a highly precise mechanical stage which holds and rotates our sample. And third, on the receiving side, we have the detector. This is what captures the scattered X-rays, counts the photon intensity, and sends all that lovely data right to a computer workstation. Now, here's the exact journey of how we create that beam. Step 1. A filament inside the vacuum chamber is heated up to produce electrons. Step 2. A high voltage accelerates these electrons to furiously bombard a metal target, usually something like tungsten or copper. Step 3. This massive collision dislodges inner shell electrons in the target, which produces our characteristic X-rays. Step 4. Because Bragg's law strictly requires a single, known wavelength to work properly, these X-rays are passed through a filter or monochromator to create a pure, monochromatic beam. Think of it like isolating just the copper K-alpha radiation. Finally, step 5. This perfectly tuned X-ray beam hits our sample and diffracts out toward the detector. All right, section 5, powder X-ray diffraction. This is our bulk characterization technique. So while you can certainly analyze single perfect crystals, the most common method used for bulk structural characterization today is actually powder X-ray diffraction, or PXRD. You might be wondering, why is powder so brilliant for analysis? Well, let's compare them. Single crystal diffraction requires a perfectly grown isolated crystal. It's anisotropic, meaning it has a specific single orientation. Because of this, you have to meticulously rotate it in incredibly complex ways just to find the exact Bragg angles. But powder diffraction? It's asotropic. You literally grind your material into a fine powder that contains millions of tiny, randomly oriented crystallites. By systematically scanning your detector through a range of experimental angles, statistically speaking, every single atomic plane will eventually be in the exact correct position to satisfy Bragg's law and diffract the beam. It pretty much ensures we see every plane in the structure without having to grow a flawless gem. And here is the beautiful result of that exact process. This is the real output data of a PXRD experiment using simple table salt, or sodium chloride. Notice the x-axis, which is the diffraction angle 2 theta, and the y-axis, which is the measured intensity of the scattered X-rays. Instead of a messy blur, we get this incredibly clean, flat baseline, punctuated by distinct, amazingly sharp peaks. This entire graphical pattern is the unique, unmistakable structural fingerprint of a sodium chloride crystal. So how do scientists actually read this fingerprint? Well, first, the peak position, the specific angle on the x-axis where a peak occurs, reveals the overall size and shape of the unit cell, and we derive that straight from Bragg's equation. Second, those tiny numbers floating above the peaks, those are called Miller indices. They mathematically characterize the exact geometric lattice plane that is responsible for that specific reflection. And third, the heights, or the intensities of those peaks, depend heavily on the actual type and the spatial arrangement of the atoms within the crystal itself. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, Real-World XRD Applications. Okay, so we've covered the physics, we've done the math, and we've explored the instrumentation. Now let's connect all of this theory to how researchers actually use XRD to solve very real problems in material science and chemistry today. XRD is an absolute powerhouse tool. For example, it easily differentiates crystal structures that share identical chemical formulas. Carbon can be a soft graphite pencil, or it can be a hard diamond. XRD tells them apart instantly based entirely on their structure. In mineralogy and metallurgy, it identifies specific corrosion phases, allowing engineers to quickly distinguish between hematite and magnetite rust on iron.
Over in the pharmaceutical industry, it's absolutely vital for characterizing drug polymorphs, basically ensuring that a specific medication pill remains stable, safe, and effective over its entire shelf life. And in materials science, it determines the exact ratio of crystalline to amorphous material in polymers and plastics. We can even use advanced calculations like the Scherer equation to analyze peak broadening and determine actual nanoparticle sizes. Scientists simply take their experimental PXRD pattern, run a search against massive established reference databases, and instantly match these structural fingerprints to identify completely unknown compounds.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly exciting thought. How will mastering the invisible atomic lattice help us design the advanced materials of tomorrow? X-ray diffraction bridges the gap between the microscopic quantum realm and the macroscopic world we interact with every day. It literally turns the invisible, three-dimensional arrangement of atoms into visible, actionable data. Whether researchers are working at modern synchrotron facilities, developing next-generation battery energy storage, formulating novel pharmaceutical cures, or creating sustainable nanomaterials, XRD gives us the foundational structural blueprint. Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Chem, on this journey right into the solid state. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next explainer.